Shut up and sit down.
Welcome to the Big Blue Offensive Podcast with Mike Trainer, Jay Jules, and John Depot. Hey, what's up, Giants fam? Welcome to the Big Blue Offensive Podcast. I'm Mike. That's Jules. That's John. John, who do we have as a special guest this week?
This week we have Digge546 of YouTube fame. He's on with us today. We're going to talk some Giants, get into his channel, and just go into why we should be being positive about the season going forward. Or hopefully, maybe Digge's got a different view on it. But Digge, how you doing, man? Thanks for coming on.
I'm doing good. How about you all? Just finished up one of my school semesters, so pretty much relaxing this week. And then everything's going to ramp back up next week. But right now, I'm feeling good.
Cool.
Awesome. What you mentioned school. What school do you go to?
I go to school in Maryland.
Oh, nice.
Ooh,
Yeah.
you're in enemy territory down there, my friend.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I grew up in enemy territory.
I
grew up, and here most people are, I grew up in D.C. Here most people are Cowboys fans. But that's the funny thing. You would think that most people would be Washington fans, but most people that I grew up with were Cowboys fans. I didn't really like either team, so I ended up just kind of gravitating towards New York. I never really liked. I visited Philadelphia a couple of times, so they weren't really a candidate for me. I didn't really like it there.
We visited there too.
Smart man.
They call it a Philly dub for a reason, you know?
Yeah.
So, how long you been doing the channel for now?
Oh man, my channel has been up since 2009.
Oh wow.
So
OG.
Yeah. I started making like regular YouTube videos probably in like 2008, and then I saw like a couple of Giants like video makers in 2009. One was Roby 111, another one was Mythos 1966, and that was like the whole TTC thing back then. So I started making videos pretty much every week during the seasons from like 2009 to about 2015 or 2016. I missed some weeks, but for the most part, I was there. And then I kind of relaxed on it a little and just kind of focused on just making Giants highlights. And then I kind of came back and I made I mentioned that I wanted to do like less like football trash talking videos and more like analysis. So I uploaded I think the first kind of analysis kind of video I did was an Evan Ingram video, because he was coming out of the draft and people were saying like he was the worst blocking tight end that they've ever seen. And I was just showing a couple of plays where he like was actually blocking, like a couple of plays he was like blocking Myles Garrett on some plays. So one thing about Evan Ingram, he's kind of like underrated as far as like how tough he is, how much effort he gives. The hands things are a whole different story, but that's a whole different topic. But that was like the first kind of film session analysis video I did. And then I kind of focused back on the highlights, and probably the format that you see my channel in right now, which is just mostly just talking about the Giants, probably started last year in about February or March.
I see, like a year and a half in or so. We're just
I went from like around 600, and now I'm at like 5,000.
Yeah, 5,000. Good for you, man. That's pretty cool.
Do you think that's because you switched around the content like you did, or what do you think was the change in that viewership?
Definitely a consistency. And actually like effort, because like when I would do my weekly videos, it was pretty much just for like just a small community. So like I wouldn't put any effort into the title, I wouldn't put any effort into the thumbnails. But now, I actually, put effort into it. That's really the only difference.
And you do like your own editing the videos, putting music to them and all that, graphics, all that stuff you do yourself. That's so cool. We should hire you. That's cool. All right, man. So I can't help but feel positive, and you see me on Twitter all the time. I'm always trying to be out there and be pro Giants, not anti Giants, like a lot of our fan base. But I can't help but to feel positive about what they've done this offseason. Do you disagree? Do you feel good about the moves they made in free agency and the draft? How do you feel about all the offseason's gone so far?
As far as I would say probably there was two things that I didn't like this offseason. One was in the free agency, one was in the draft. Uh, the one in free agency was a Devontae Booker signing. I really didn't like that. I wanted a running back in the draft, but it's not like a big deal kind of thing. Like I think Devontae Booker's better than Wayne Gallman in my opinion. So
Sure.
I think we upgraded at a backup running back. We probably overpaid a little, but I mean, who cares? It's $3 million. And then with the draft, I wanted an offensive lineman, specifically Ben Cleveland. I uploaded a video pretty much telling people why. It was a rant video, and people were thinking I was kind of like downing Aaron Robinson, but I was really just mad because I wanted a right guard. I wanted Ben Cleveland. So those are the two things that I didn't like. But at the same time, the running back thing isn't a big deal, and at the same time, Aaron Robinson is going to give us a lot of depth. He's going to play a lot for us. So I really like the entire offseason. When you look at, we needed the receiver. We needed that number one receiver. We got it. We needed some depth in the secondary. We got that in free agency and the draft. We needed that second middle linebacker. I'm confident in Reggie Ragland. He's going to probably rotate with Tay Crowder.
Yeah.
Carter
Tay
Coughlin.
Crowder.
Yep.
Yeah. So, and then the last thing that we needed was the edge rusher. And I think Azeez Ojulari is a plug and play guy who's going to at least get pressure his rookie season. So we got everything we needed. We really addressed everything we need. And then the tight end. I mean, a secure, reliable tight end that's going to catch the ball in the middle of the field and just not have any extra drama that we don't need from a tight end of all positions. We finally got that. So I feel like we addressed everything we needed. Maybe you could say we could use some more offensive line help. But at the end of the day, I think we got a lot better.
Yeah, I agree. Jules, Mike?
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought I was going to cut you off. It looked like you were about to say something there. I was ready to jump in. Because
I don't want to go out.
I was like, I couldn't agree with you more. I was like jumping out of my skin with the whole third round pick. And then, I was like literally an emotional roller coaster throughout the draft, right? We trade back, which I was a fan of because there's a person I want to bring up shortly that I think we may have dodged a bullet with not taking with that 11th pick. And then we trade back, we get Tony, and I'm like, man, I know he can be a playmaker, but I was pissed about it. And then the next day, they make me the most happiest Giants fan when we take Ojulari because I'm huge on him. I think he's going to be a beast, and I think that getting him as late in the second round as we did is an absolute steal. And I just think that he's going to return the value tenfold. And then we go to the third round, and all of a sudden I'm like, yeah, I'm with you, man. I was like, yo, we should definitely go lineman, and instead we get the corner who I know is going to be a big help, but like we were there. There was names of players out there to take, and we did it. I'm kind of like all over with that. But the one thing I wanted to ask you is, especially with things that have gone on in like the last week or so, you think we dodged a bullet by not drafting Parsons with that 11th pick? Because I know that was a big favorite. It was definitely one of our guys that we had on the radar, although we knew he had character issues coming out of college. One of the things I had said was that, Judge was down there on the pro day at Penn State. And if there's a reason that we don't take him, it could be some of that. And now you see all this nonsense that's been, all over social media over the last couple of weeks. What was your take on that?
With Parsons, I never really wanted Parsons. I mean, from a player perspective, like he's a middle linebacker who's really athletic, who's really fast, and people just assumed, oh, he's the coverage linebacker that we need beside Blake Martinez, but he can't really cover. He's like an explosive kind of playmaker, pass rusher linebacker, which could have helped us, but I think we needed more. Like we needed what we got more than Michael Parsons. As far as the character stuff, I just don't think it would be a problem with Joe Judge and his old defensive coordinator here. The 9/11 comment that he made, I mean, I don't know how to look at it, if he did it on purpose or if he is just not that smart. I'm gonna just say I don't think he's that smart. But the Michael Parsons stuff, I mean, he would have been a headache, but he would have made plays for us. But I don't necessarily think that it would have been like a horrible decision if we took him. I just think what we did was a lot better. I would take Kadarius Toney and the draft haul that we got 10 times out of 10 over Michael Parsons.
I think
that was just Toney alone, huh?
Yeah, I would probably think of taking Toney over Parsons just because of what we needed. I mean, Parsons is like a luxury pick. that's like a pick that we make next year if this defense is what we expect it to be this year.
Don't forget, we drafted Ellison Smith in the 4th round. I mean, that guy
Yeah,
can
and
run quarterback.
that's my favorite pick in this draft, Ellison
Really?
Smith.
Yeah, you did a whole little segment on that on your YouTube channel about Ellison Smith, right? Yeah, I saw some of that. Yeah, you made some good points.
Yeah, Ellison
man.
Smith is like I was, if anybody's been following my channel, you know that I don't like Gregory Rousseau as a prospect. I think he went to a good place though, so he has a chance to succeed in that defense in Buffalo. But for our team as a 3-4 edge rusher, I just didn't see it. But Ellison Smith physically is what people thought that Gregory Rousseau was. Like he's a 6'7" pass rusher who was around 260 or something like that, because he put on weight since college. And he's actually explosive at that weight with his long arms. So he has a lot of potential to be like the perfect pass rusher. It's just about him getting molded. And what better defensive staff to mold him than what we have? So I'm excited.
Pat down passes too with that fucking long arms and his height. I mean, that's a whole like another dynamic a lot of people are really haven't like talked about. Not just getting to the back, batting down passes.
Exactly. And then a lot of people are thinking that he won't get jerseys a lot of times, but I think he will get jerseys and eventually work his way into the rotation, because he's going to get jerseys because he blocked like, I think 4 or 5 field goals in college. So they're going to want him. They're going to want him, you know, trying to block field goals. And just imagine him. You got 6'7" Ellison Smith. You got 6'4" Dexter Lawrence. You got 6'4" Leonard Williams, and they're all going to be trying to block field goals. So I want to see that definitely.
And batting down passes too.
Oh yeah,
they're no strangers to that. That's a good point, man. Educated fan, you just got to respect it. You got to love it.
Damn right.
And and that's crazy too, because honestly, I didn't realize he had 4 field goal deflections in his college.
No, don't quote me on that. Don't quote me on that. But I remember
not a few, right?
Yeah, I remember somebody saying that he had a few. So it was something that like surprised me. So it might be around 4 or 5.
No, and that makes sense too. Yeah. No, I was gonna say that makes a lot of sense, because literally, one of the things that we were looking to draft, especially when we got into Saturday, was more special teams guys. So even if he's more of a immediate fit, like on special teams, and then works his way into the rotation on defense, it's a great pick, especially for where we took him in the draft. I mean, you just can't say enough about it. You just hope that he develops into his body a little bit more, because he was a little bit on the smaller size for a guy that's 6'7". You expect him to be more close to like 280, 285 or something like that.
Exactly. Yeah, I think he played at like 245.
Yeah.
And then by the time he got to the Senior Bowl, he was like 260. So I guess he'll be 270 this season, maybe.
I'll take that.
Big boy, 270, 6'7". That is a big boy. You know what? He's got a name too that sounds like a really good football player. Ellison Smith. It just has that ring to it, Saquon Barkley's just got like that. He sounds like exactly what he is.
Exactly.
It just sounds like a mutant offensive player, Saquon Barkley. Same thing with Ellison Smith there.
It's a comparison, John, to like Leonard Floyd, like in a way. Leonard Floyd's like 6'5", 6'6". He's kind of like.
Yeah, I think he was 6'6". Right? Yeah, but he's a lot lighter.
He is, right?
Yeah.
I wanted the Giants to sign Leonard, so maybe we got another one like in the 4th round.
Yeah.
So.
They just need time to develop too. That's the nice part is, and that one of the telltale signs of how do you know that your roster is really kind of really taking shape and you got something, is when your draft picks, you really can't identify a starting role for them, for any of them, all the way from the 7th pick all the way through the 1st pick. You can say Kadarius Toney is going to be a starting wide receiver, but it's not necessarily a guarantee. They like Slayton, they like Shepard, they like obviously Galladay. So it's a nice thing where you can take a 1st round pick and he might be your 4th wide receiver. Your 2nd draft pick might be your 3rd or 4th pass rusher. Your 4th round pick could get in the snaps too. It's a lot to be excited about. 3rd round pick, solid depth. This roster has definitely come together. Respect to God, as you say.
Yeah. And I'm sure some people are going to be thinking like I one thing that's made Giants fans mad is that they're like, how much of the snaps are Kadarius Toney going to play? How much is he going to play? He might not be like one of the top 2 receivers out there. But the other hand of looking at it is like, we drafted someone in the 1st round that can't find a way into the starting spot. Like, and he's not a bad player. So I think that's a plus. You don't want every single year getting 4 or 5 starters, because that means that the people you have in there aren't doing their jobs.
Exactly right.
That's a good point.
You can't be getting saviors out of 20-year-olds. It's rare that happens. It's very
Like,
rare
just
that
think,
happens.
yeah, just think about just like consistently taking players at the back of the first round that you're saying, oh well, they won't have to start this year.
No,
Well, getting used to it, Diggy, because that's exactly what's going to be like.
That's what it looks
to
like.
first round. Speaking of, and I didn't even see this, Jules brought this up before. PFF, which take it with a grain of salt, has James Bradbury ranked the 5th best cornerback in football, which I think is debatable. He could be top 3. And then they have Adoree Jackson as the 12th best cornerback in football. Now, I don't know Adoree Jackson well enough to say if that's accurate or not. I've just heard very good things about him. But you got the 5th best and 12th best cornerbacks on the outside in Patrick Graham's defense. A, do you agree with those rankings? And then B, what do you think that does for the Giants defense this coming season?
So I would have James Bradbury somewhere in the top 5. I would probably think top 3, like you said too, but top 5, like, you can't get mad at someone saying that he's number 5. There's a lot of good corners. Adoree Jackson being that high kind of surprises me, but I actually did a video today on like analytics, and I kind of did like a deep dive on how PFF grades these players, and it's something I've kind of known for a while. PFF puts a lot of stock into not giving up big plays, not making huge mistakes. And Adoree Jackson basically doesn't give up anything over 30 yards because he's so fast. I mean, he guarded Tyreek Hill, and Tyreek Hill couldn't run past him, which is ridiculous. So he doesn't give up deep passes. So for a corner that the most you'll get out of him is a couple of short passes, like, he's not the best tackler. He's not going to give up those huge plays, so that's probably why he's ranked that high. But I think ranking him 12th is that's really high. That's really high for him, because I don't know if he's the 12th best corner in the entire NFL.
Dude, that's a great stat you brought up, man. I didn't even know about that one. And I'm glad you brought up like Tyreek Hill, because when we were talking about Tony a few minutes ago, like, listen, if Tony has like, a couple hundred yards, 500 yards, Tyreek Hill only had 500-600 yards his first season in 16 games. So I know a lot of people are comparing Tony to Tyreek Hill. I mean, maybe not a lot of people, maybe just me. I would like to see Tony like blow up like down the road. He don't have to do it the first year. Like, these are rookies. These are baby Giants. Like, let him get their like mojo going, and let him turn into be what he's gonna be.
Yep.
And Adoree
I
Jackson,
mean,
God damn, man.
go ahead.
No 30 yards. Oh, I love that. Adoree Jackson, our secondary is just gonna be absolutely elite. I love it, man.
Yeah, I looked up like all of his, because I have Game Pass, so I looked up all of his plays for like his entire career, and maybe like there's like 2 or 3 times where he gave up a pass over 30 yards. So he just doesn't, like, his recovery speed is ridiculous. So he just doesn't give up those passes. It's almost like if you want to beat him, you just throw screens and short passes and just make him have to come up and tackle. Because as far as covering down the field, he's great. It does scare me that he might be someone that would give up a bunch of possession catches on us, and like have someone like, kind of 1,000 paper cuts. But with that, I mean, we have so much talent on his defense that they're going to eventually make mistakes. So it's better than him giving up that huge play.
Right.
Yeah, especially when you have the safety. I call him trio. I like Julian Love as a safety too. I don't think that you lose much when he's on the field. So quadruplets that we have at safety, kind of flanking out back. That's a secondary that most teams should be nervous about.
For real.
Yeah.
But you mentioned
I think
it.
it's all about.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was going to ask you because I did listen to some of your episodes today, and you were breaking it down, but I don't know if you necessarily gave out grades. And you said that you have a system where you could kind of grade it. Like, where would you grade Bradbury versus Jackson?
You're saying as far as like PFF?
Yeah, of course.
Well, when I was saying that like I can use their specific system. Like, I can watch a game and like, because anybody can really do it. Like, if you watch a game, you give a player a -2 if he like if it's like a horrible play, you give him a +2 if it's like the greatest play. They use like the Eli Manning sideline Super Bowl throw as a 2. So that's how high a 2 is.
Jeez.
And a 0 is like nothing happened. So like if a safety just drops back in coverage and it doesn't go towards where, that's a 0. So I was saying I could kind of grade it like that.
Gotcha.
But I would say that Adoree Jackson, his style kind of lends itself more towards PFF's grading system than James Bradberry. But the thing is, James Bradberry is probably so much better that he just still ends up being in the top 5.
Huh. Interesting. All right. And I did see some of those kind of gradings where people are like ranked number 7th, but they have a grade of like 93. And you're like, these other guys in front of them don't have a 93. So what does this even mean? And I like the point you have mentioned where you said that you could look at any of these type of numbers and stats and everything else and use it for any point of an argument or perspective that you would want. Right. And as soon as you said that, I was like, oh, absolutely. Like I'm in these group chats where it's like, oh, you know, like even if you look at like Daniel Jones, for example, he's the best deep pass thrower. But what does that really mean? Right.
Exactly.
He threw it, first off,
like he threw it deep like 30 something times this year. So not saying that he can't throw it deep, but he threw it deep very little because of this offense that he was in. And it's just, like, I'm the biggest Daniel Jones supporter, like, or one of the biggest, because there's a lot of big ones. But it's just so annoying to keep seeing this same stat. Like, we've been seeing it since October. Like, they're like, Daniel Jones, when he goes deep. And then it's, like, even more frustrating last year to watch us not throw it deep when they're saying he's so great at throwing it deep. So we've been seeing this same stat since October, and they keep bringing it back up like we haven't seen it before. Like, it's breaking news. Like the season has been over for 5 months.
It's so true, though.
5 months, bro. It's been 5 months since we've seen a Giants game. Wow.
Yeah.
Seems like
all right. It's crazy how fast time goes.
That is crazy.
We'll get an extra week this year, and they're talking about pushing it to 18 games the next couple of years.
So I don't know if it was.
I think.
Okay.
I think that's honestly what their intentions always were. But I think that it was probably too jarring for them to go from 16 straight to 18. So they said, let's do a few years at 17, and then we'll get to 18, and we'll sit there for a couple of decades. They should just go to like a 36-game season, though.
What they just have like 7 bye weeks or something?
Anybody going to complain except for the players? Probably not. And when they get
playing late August and end of January, early February, who cares?
So I'm going to put you on the spot, Digge. Who wins the camp battle? Aaron Robinson, Darnay Holmes, slot corner.
People have been asking me this, and I just really think if you're asking me who the starting slot corner is going to be, just like in general, if I had to pick one, I think it's Darnay Holmes because he was so great last year. But I think they're pretty much going to rotate almost 50-50 because Aaron Robinson is the physical corner. Darnay Holmes is kind of the finesse corner. And they both can move inside and out. So I think that they're going to both be on the field pretty much the same amount of snaps. And then a lot of people were saying that we took Aaron Robinson to go against those big physical receivers in the slot. But my thing is, CeeDee Lamb is that big physical slot receiver, and Darnay Holmes like completely shut him down. I just don't know how that works, but I know they want to play Aaron Robinson a lot. So I think it'll be 50-50.
Yeah. Unfortunately, sports has a way of working that kind of stuff out for us. I don't even want to say the word, but you know what happens. Part of it. Yeah.
Wait, our second.
How firm are you behind your prediction of us with the possibility, or maybe put a percentage grade on it, of us actually living up to being a Legion of Boom that you mentioned in one of your other shows not too long ago?
I just think we have too many. Like, it's like usually when you make like a prediction like that, where you say like this is going to be like a top 2 or 3 secondary, you're like, okay, if an injury happens, we probably won't do it. Now, of course, if you know one of those I'm not even going to say it. I'm not even going to speak it out into existence. But of course, if you know the best player in that secondary, which I'm sure we all know who that is, if he disappears and he's not playing, that changes everything. Sure. But if we lose a Darnay Holmes, we can replace him with Aaron Robinson. There's just so many, especially at safety. There's just so many guys that can step in. And Xavier McKinney played slot corner for us last year. He played outside corner for us last year. So
Yep.
Xavier McKinney even played defensive end for us and rushed the pass. So
Right.
we just have guys that can do everything. And I just think there's just almost no way for us not to be a top 5 defense. And this is like, I've just tried to talk myself down from this, but we just have too much talent. I just don't. I just don't
talk
see
it up, man. Talk
Yeah.
it up.
He said quarterbacks are going to average about 60 yards against us every game. That's
But no, they have a real world possibility of multiple times the season.
Under 100
Oh,
yards.
Yeah, dude. Like it's for real possible. You got a couple.
I can't wait until we play Justin Fields.
Yeah.
I defended
Game's gonna be
Justin Fields
special,
all
bro.
off season, and this Bears fan just like responded to one of my tweets earlier today and made me mad. So now I'm going to root against him.
Who did
Like-
Justin Fields responded to one of your tweets?
Yeah, like I was talking about. It was like a stat where it said that. What was the stat? Jerry Jeudy had like 25 or 30 off-target passes that like he had no shot at making just because the throw was so bad. And I said, like, why are they comparing this dude Drew Lock to Daniel Jones? And then a Bears fan who I don't follow and no one that I knows follows responds to me and just says, like, you both passed on Justin Fields and Daniel Jones is horrible and blah blah blah. So like now I have to hate on Justin Fields.
I agree with you 100% there.
Isn't that crazy though? How we, as a Giants fan base, passed on Justin Fields. So the Jets taking Zach Wilson, Trey Lance being taken with the 49ers, all the other teams in between, they didn't pass on Justin Fields. Only the Giants did because we got a first round fucking pick for it. Really? So like you can have Justin Fields and all these other teams passed on, and I'll take that extra first round pick. That's just me.
And the thing is, I like Justin Fields as a prospect, but like if we won either way. If we bet on Daniel Jones this year and he's like horrible, which I don't think is going to happen, but if he's horrible this year, we can use the picks that we got to trade up and get someone who I think is just as good as Justin Fields.
right. Exactly. It's exactly right.
I don't even think Justin Fields is going to be that good, bro. Every single time that someone drafts a quarterback from that school, it's like, I mean, history repeats itself like every other year. It's this guy's going to be this, and then he ends up being Dwayne Haskins. I'm rooting for the guy just because I want people to find success in the things they love to do. But I don't know. He's going to have to really prove something, for me to be a believer. And I really, really, really hope that the Giants just straight embarrass him when we play him this year.
Exactly. And then what do we hear every year? We hear every year the Giants passed on a quarterback. Next year's quarterback class is so thin.
Oh my God.
They won't find a quarterback. They said that in 2016, 2017, and every year, every one of those years where they said there wouldn't be any quarterbacks, we got like attacked for not taking a quarterback. So there's going to be at least a quarterback there next year we can trade up for if we needed to.
We're not going to need to.
Or even trade for one. Like, I mean, Deshaun Watson.
Exactly, or Matt Ryan or something like that.
Deshaun Watson is
Not that I like him.
be over. Yeah, nobody wants Matt Ryan. But yeah, like Deshaun Jackson, like is his legality shit could go away. He could be a possible target. I know everybody's like, oh, on Aaron Rodgers' dick, but he's kind of old. Like, I don't want him here.
He can't survive New York.
You know what I mean? I'd rather Deshaun than fucking Aaron. But listen, I think
Aaron Rodgers would literally probably stay at home after like something got printed about him and he just not play a game.
You have a panic room.
He'll be in the Meadowlands parking lot in the back of a pickup just drinking beers.
It's like I'm done with football. I'm like, damn, we gave him 2 first rounders for you.
There's no way that would happen. I would literally, I would physically fall down, like fall out of my chair if I read that fucking.
I just think that Tom Brady has a mental hold over Aaron Rodgers, and the only reason that we would be trading for Aaron Rodgers is because we think he can get us a Super Bowl in the next 2 years. And I just don't believe in Aaron Rodgers to win. Like, I believe in him to put on all the stats and maybe we lose 2 games. Like, with this roster, maybe Aaron Rodgers only loses 2 games, but in the playoffs, he just always seems to just let people down and then just point the finger. And that just doesn't fit with Joe Judge. Like, pointing the finger and all that stuff.
Not in New York.
I just don't see it working out.
It would be catastrophic if he came here. It would be fun. It would be games where he got 4 or 5 touchdowns, this and that. But frankly speaking, I think Daniel Jones could do the same. I don't see any reason why Daniel Jones, not that he's going to go throw for 50 touchdowns, It's possible, but I don't. There's no reason to assume that he can't, with these weapons, go out and have 3-4 touchdown games pretty regularly. I mean, he did it in his rookie year with what's going to be a worse offensive line and definitely
Benny Fowler.
What happened?
I was saying, like, he had guys like Benny Fowler and Cody
Yeah.
Latimer and
even last year, the same thing. There was C.J. Board and Dante Pettis and stuff like that. Those were his receivers along with Slayton, who was hurt. So I don't see any reason to think that that's off the table for him to do this season. I am super high on Daniel Jones, and when I see him play, I see a real deal quarterback, somebody who could stand there, can survive this particular city, because it actually does mean something. Not everybody can play here. It's not Buffalo. It's not Cincinnati. It's just not. He looks like he was just like the prophecy fulfilled. There's something about him. He's got this aura about him, so much like the Mannings, this and that. I see him having the mental for it, and I also see that when you watch him play, he's got the talent. The diamond is there. It's just about the coaching staff and the team and the weapons around him to unearth that diamond, shine it up, and polish it. It's not like they have to turn him into anything. They just have to harness the energy that's there. That's all it is. You know what I mean? And what do people say most of the time when they complain about Daniel Jones? What do they say? Turnovers?
They say,
go ahead. You can say it. You can say it. Go ahead.
I mean, they say Danny fumbles, and I've just been responding to all the Eagles fans. You say Danny fumbles, I say Jalen fumbles. Who fumbles 9 times in 4 starts? I don't understand how you do that. How do you fumble the ball 9 times in 4 starts? And then back to the whole analytics and statistics thing that I've been trying to tell people about. Why do we continually have to see these stats by ESPN and NFL Network and Fox and all these things about how many times Daniel Jones has turned over the ball since his rookie season, since the first week of his rookie season? Right. When, if you look at this season, he's not towards the top. Like, he's towards the top of the league because of the first half of the season, but he's not like so far ahead of everybody else like they're trying to make it seem. Like, no, God. Like, his rookie season was ridiculous for how much he fumbled the ball. Like, Giants fans will tell you, he fumbled the ball way too much. This year, at the beginning of the year, he was like a regular quarterback, the way he fumbled the ball, like a regular fumbling quarterback. And then the second half of the year, he barely fumbled. He had the longest interception streak of this year of not throwing an interception. And we don't talk about this. And we just blindly say he's Danny fumbles and he throws interceptions all the time. When first off, he's never really had an issue with interception.
Nope.
Well, you know what the problem is? You know what they don't talk about is when Daniel Jones is like, we had the fumbles in the beginning because he was waiting, trying to make a play, any kind of play. He was waiting to the very last second. And you know what? Guys weren't getting open and he got stripped. That's just what happens. But you know what? He's learning. He's learning to, like, all right, now if my line ain't playing that great, I got to throw the ball away. And he figured it out. And sometimes young quarterbacks take a little time. Like, people got to, like.
Not sometimes.
Like, after
20 games. 90% of the time, 95% of the time. Yeah. Quarterbacks don't enter the league at their ceiling. No one does. That's the one thing that gets missed, especially when you look on social media. Players don't enter the league at their prime ceiling. They enter the league as rookies that need to learn how to be professional football players, play within the team and its scheme, and with the players around them, and get better and get stronger and faster and all that. It takes a couple of years. That's when you look at a Pro Bowl roster and the All-Pro list, they're all 26, 27, 28 years old. That's when the players are at their prime. That's when they're at their best. You don't judge a guy off the first 3 weeks of the season like Andrew Thomas and say he's a bust. Right. Like, that's just it's so
unless you're Quentin Nelson.
Unless
you're Quentin Nelson, you got to wait a long time to be.
Unless you're a stud that comes out the gate. Like,
and then people forget that, like, these are literally people who are going to a new job in a new city, and they're like 20 years old. Like, imagine you get a job out of high school or out of college. Like, imagine you get that job out of college, and you have a great first year. You're a salesman. You sell like the most at your branch. You sell all the most, and then after that year, you lose your supervisor. You lose all your contacts that you were using to sell. You lose everything that you built up over that first year, and then they say, We expect you to do better than what you did your first year, except you have nothing that you can build off of from your first year. That's what happened with Daniel Jones. These are literally human beings at a job trying to learn how to do it at the highest level in the entire world. And we just like laugh this off like this is nothing. And then throw in COVID, throw in everything else. So I expect him to bounce back this year.
Wow. Listen, that was a great analogy, man. I never even thought of it like that. Like when you're saying, like, you know, these kids straight out of college, you know, your interning was playing college football in a way, right? When you
exactly.
kind of like look at it from that perspective, it's great. You're right. And then you change around his whole entire structure and expect him to perform well with less resources. So it's just like a fantastic way to kind of put it, because it was driving me insane about a week and a half ago. We had to put it on the show and everything. I was getting into with these guys on Facebook and Twitter, all about Daniel Jones, about how like they was just literally like saying that he probably won't even reach being an average quarterback. And I'm like, come on, man. That's just like a little bit like just too much over the top. And you're calling yourself a Giants fan, right? It's not even like I'm dealing with like Philly or Dallas or Washington fan base, literally New York Giant fan base. And I just couldn't take it. So that's why we did a whole show about fake fans versus real fans. Not to get too into it, but you know, you can kind of see where we went with that. But yeah, it's amazing, you know, and I say it too. It's like you see like the Mahomes and you know, all the quarterbacks that just kind of come into the league and they just take it by storm. And all of a sudden it's like everybody's going to do that. No, not everybody's going to do that. You know, these guys came in. Lamar Jackson went to a playoff team. Kansas City was a playoff team. You know, these young quarterbacks went to that. And they just added a different element to that offense that was already in place that the defenses that were used to playing them weren't aware of, right? You know, Lamar with his running ability and Pat with just being able to do it all.
Who sat for a whole year.
Yeah.
He sat for a whole year behind Alex Smith.
Thank you.
Probably has the best offensive coordinator of all time as his head coach. I mean, the situation matters so much. It matters so much. Look at what Trevor Lawrence, they've been talking about Trevor Lawrence being the first overall pick and an elite quarterback since he was in high school. What is he going to do with Urban Meyer as his head coach? I don't know what he's going to do, but we'll see if he's really this quarterback that defies everything around him, that is this superhero. We'll see how it goes this year without a great roster around him. I mean, Sam Darnold he's going to finally get a chance to prove that he's a good quarterback or prove that he's not.
Yeah.
We have to, you got to have some surroundings.
One of the biggest cliches in football, and I said it before, and I know people are sick of hearing it, but football is the ultimate team game. It's 11 different people on your side of the ball with 11 more on the other side of the ball. That is an intense amount of variables on each given play. And it's very, very easy for that one link to break and then shut down whatever it is that you're trying to do. It's just the nature of the game. When you have a quarterback that steps into a team that's a playoff roster, all he's asked to do is really do his job. They're not asked to go ahead and be, you know, the reason why they're winning games. Not on playoff teams, not on late first round picks. When you're being drafted top 10, top 12, top 15 like that, chances are you're not going to a good team. That team has just spent the first round pick on you, so they didn't spend it on somebody else that's going to go and aid them. Maybe they went ahead and did something in free agency, but realistically, how many teams are in the same season going big in free agency and then drafting a quarterback, you know, the top of the draft? That doesn't really happen that often. That kind of that's two like opposing philosophies on where you want in a build. That doesn't generally happen. Sometimes, but not usually. So that's a big thing. I don't think Sam Darnold's going to be much of anything. I think he's going to be an okay quarterback. I think he's got the skills for it, but something about that California coolness, I don't know if that translates super well to the NFL. A lot of times in the movies and Hollywood it does. On screen it looks good, but in the NFL that's the truth. You know, in the NFL, I don't know how many California cool guys have been super successful quarterbacks, you know, without having that kind of monster in them.
He could be good. He could not be good. But, I mean, this is the first chance he's really getting because, I mean, he was throwing to Brashad Perryman. What else besides that? Brashad Perryman, Jamison Crowder was always injured and literally nothing else. So, like, the fact that we can, in the NFL, put out a receiving core that's that bad is ridiculous to me. I don't get it. But I'm not that high on Sam Darnold either, but this is his first chance pretty much, in my opinion.
All right.
This is something earlier. I was just curious, real quick. I just wanted to jump in real fast with this one because I had it and I don't want to forget about it. You said, and I just want to be clear because if not, I guess it's like a two-part kind of thing. You said that you would have been okay with taking Tony as high as 11th if we drafted him there.
No,
Or
no,
that-
I
not
didn't.
that-
I know.
You
No,
were
I
just
wouldn't have taken
okay
him
with
there.
him being in the first round when we took him at 20th overall,
Yeah.
right? Would you be as ballsy as I am? Because I already shot my mouth off because I can't help myself. I said Tony's gonna have a better year than Jalen Waddle, just because I can't stand Jalen Waddle. I didn't want
A
him
better
on
year.
this, right?
Oh, man.
So
I like Jalen Waddle a lot. He was my second receiver in this draft.
really,
I don't know if he's gonna have a better year, but he has a chance to have a better career, definitely.
Where did Jalen Waddle go again?
Miami,
Miami. I'm not really that big of a fan of Tua,
right?
but I
Yeah.
do like Jalen Waddle a lot, and you have seen like some of these top receivers kind of still get numbers even with horrible quarterbacks. So
I feel like that's going to be a situation where the numbers aren't really going to tell the full story. Because
exactly.
Tony might be the better player, but because of who's on the team that he's going to be sharing, snaps with and sharing the ball with, I don't know that he's going to get the opportunities to kind of outproduce Jalen Waddle. Not that they don't have weapons down there, but they don't have a Saquon Barkley and they don't have a Kenny Galladay to the same degree. It's just those are the guys who are going to get the lion's share. And Saquon is the next question I wanted to ask you about when we get to it. But fuck it, I would love Tony to be better than Waddle. I'm so glad we didn't draft Waddle because that name is so annoying to say. Like Ellerson Smith, Jalen Waddle. I'll take Ellerson Smith just by name.
And I've even heard people go as far as saying Waddell. I'm like, is it Waddell?
Oh yeah, I have
Waddell.
seen people say Waddell. I'm like, what are you
so
reading, man?
ridiculous.
What's going on?
There's been a lot of comps saying Tony's got a lot of Odell characteristics. I think a lot of the measurables and how they're testing was very, very similar between the two of them.
Yeah.
I don't know that Tony has like that kind of spectacular catch ability that Odell has. I haven't seen that. But from a physical standpoint, his highlight film, when you watch those ridiculous top 10 plays he's got, they are like legendary, like abuse of people. It's almost to the level of like and one street ball what he does to people on a football field.
Like
remember that back
that's
in
the
the day.
funniest thing. Like they try to say that he's like some bad route runner because his route running reminds them of basketball, but he's getting open. I don't get that at all. But Kadarius Toney seems like he's the exact same height and weight as Odell pretty much coming out. I think they had like similar verticals, similar. His 40 time was faster, but it was at a pro day. I don't think he's as fast as Odell top end. I just don't see that. But I do think that what Odell gives you as far as like the spectacular catch kind of stuff is what Toney gives you as far as the yak stuff.
Wow.
So yeah, I mean like
that's
as far as
incredible.
and like when you're thinking of like Madden ratings, how like Odell got like the immediate 99 spec catch.
Mhm.
I would
play.
say that Toney deserves that 99 elusiveness or wherever it is now.
I want to see a lot of screen passes from him this year, man.
I hope so. I really hope that Jason Garrett doesn't screw this up.
And I also want to
Yeah,
see
they got
an end
like
around
47
from Tony.
coaches.
I was gonna say I wanted to see an end around from Tony, not like from fucking Evan Ingram either. You know what I mean?
Sterling
Like,
Shepard.
like,
We actually scored on two of those. That's the funny thing.
They worked well, even without Saquon on the field. And
Yeah.
I had just mentioned his name, but when you think about it, when you sit there and you just say, okay, we're talking about how to get Tony involved in the offense. You have also Ingram, who we've been saying it for years, and we could talk more about him after this if you want. I think he's a good football player. He's a good athlete. He has talent. He just has to kind of master the football end of it and mental part of it. But you get Saquon on the field next to Tony, next to Ingram, next to Galladay, Slayton, Shepard. Like, how does a defense like efficiently, not okay on a play, but efficiently and consistently stop this offense for 60 minutes? I don't see how this offense, unless the offensive line is just a full-on record-breaking atrocity, which I don't feel is going to be the case. I don't see how this offense isn't markedly better than it was last year. Markedly.
Yeah, I mean, the only thing that can stop this offense is like, I hate to do it because it's beating a dead horse, but the only thing that can stop it is Daniel Jones. If he's like literally, if he regresses from what he was last year, because like we have, as you said, we have Saquon, who like they had to load the box. Like they didn't care about our receivers at all. We have Galladay. Exactly. We have Galladay. We have Shepard. We have Tony. We have all of these players. there's really no, like, they can't play to our strength because we have two strengths at different levels. The tight ends, you can't really ignore the tight ends. Even Evan Ingram dropping passes all over the place, you can't ignore him.
Yeah.
You can't ignore Kyle Rudolph. So you can't ignore the quarterback taking off and running with the ball. So what can you do? I don't really see what you can possibly do. The only thing that I would do if I was a defense is just continuously blitz Daniel Jones with everything that I have until he proves to me that he can beat that blitz and like put up points. That's what I would do. But other than that, there's really no way that I can see teams playing this unless Daniel Jones or the offensive line are like, again, historically bad. Because if Daniel Jones is the 23rd best quarterback in this league, this is a playoff team. It's just that simple. If the offensive line is a top 20 offensive line, this is a playoff team. We have to literally have the worst quarterback in the league by far and the worst offensive line in the league by far for this offense to be anywhere close to where it was this past year. And I just don't see how that happens. I just can't see how anybody can stop this.
I just like Saquon has the ability where if they really wanted to lean into the run and he stays healthy, the Giants offensive line, if nothing else, run blocked really well last year. So there was a lot of plays where, everybody was really hyped about Gallman, but Saquon has the ball in his hands. Those are going for 40,
Touchdown.
50, 60 yard touchdowns. And that's the difference. We lost a lot of games by a couple of points. That's the difference in 6-10 and 10-6. And we don't have to get into the tip catch in Philadelphia or the phantom flags in Dallas to make that case. That's just a fact of the matter.
Yeah.
So you have a 2,000+ yard back, and then you have all these weapons on the outside. Daniel Jones is a super accurate quarterback. When you watch a lot of his turnover videos, he's hitting guys like in the face. These aren't balls that they're like reaching out all over the place.
Exactly.
And they just can't make their routine catches that professional football players, first round picks or undrafted or free agents should be able to catch, or at least if they're going to drop it, it drops to the fucking turf, not into guys' hands. I mean, they make like Madden style like plays that are ridiculous on these balls. And I think you have all these players who are far more reliable. Kyle Rudolph I think he's dropped one pass in the last 4 years or something absurd like that. You know what I mean? With his accuracy, his threat of the run, I think with this much more experience, he's a smart quarterback. Offensive, I mean, there's a reality where you have a top 5 defense and a top 10 offense. I don't think that's a stretch to say. Not only that, to consider, we have Graham Gano, who's an excellent kicker. You're going to tell me that having Saquon and these other weapons doesn't get us another 20 yards a drive, where now we're kicking an extra field goal or two a game, scoring a touchdown, and we could be a 10-point, 15-point better offense. Literally, like that. That was a terrible snap, but there you go. That's the one.
Yeah, I mean, like, it's literally like this. I mean, if they better hope that Daniel Jones doesn't become like this Josh Allen kind of leap or doesn't even take a Baker Mayfield kind of leap, because this team is so good right now that I feel like if Daniel Jones was like horrible, we could trade for a backup quarterback and make the playoffs. I really feel like this team is that good. So I just don't see it, man. I just don't see how we could be a bad offense.
If you had to say quickly, though, out of the 3 major concerns on offense, ranking them from most concerns to least, Daniel Jones, the offensive line, and Jason Garrett, how would you rank the 3?
Good question.
Jason Garrett is my biggest issue.
Really?
Because he has the potential to completely make Kadarius Toney useless as a rookie while he's still developing.
Yeah,
he has the potential to make everybody else useless too. But even then, I think Kenny Golladay as a contested catch guy kind of like counteracts that stuff. And then Evan Ingram, now that he's not going to have to run all of these stick routes and like regular conventional tight end routes, I really hope that Jason Garrett just doesn't make him run the stick routes on the other side of the offensive line as Kyle Rudolph, and he actually uses him as a move tight end. So Jason Garrett is definitely my biggest issue. but I
Okay.
just don't think that he's going to be that. Like, I don't think he's a stupid person. I just really don't think he's that stupid.
He's been in the league too
I
long.
hope he's not that stupid. I hope he's not. And then the offensive line will be the next one, and then
Okay.
Daniel Jones. And I mean, I think Daniel Jones is going to really step up. But if he doesn't, I just think that like below average quarterback play, as long as he's not like a horrible player in there for us, I think we could still win games.
You got to also think of they say like complementary football. What's more complementary for an offense and a defense that probably is not going to give up more than 17 points a game?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of these defenses step back. So like being conservative, I mean, this defense addressed a lot of needs. So like if we give up 20 points a game, we should win most games. Like this offense needs to put up at least 25 a game with everything we put in it. So like,
How do they not?
yeah, I just don't see it. Like,
Yeah, And are you a fan of Gettleman? It sounds like you might be because you do have faith in the team.
oh yeah, I'm a fan of Gelman.
That's my man. Love to hear it. I fucking love to hear it.
Yeah.
Real quick too, only because of something I know you mentioned a couple weeks back on your show, the uses of McKinney. How do you really see him fitting into this defense? Like, because you mentioned that, you know, you joked about it earlier that we had him rush off the D end in one play, you know, last season. I think he is that kind of guy. I think he could be utilized a lot better. I know we get a lot of criticism because we didn't take Winfield in the draft when we took McKinney over him, and no one really got to see the skills that McKinney possesses because he was hurt for the whole season pretty much.
Yeah.
So what do you see him bringing to the table for 2021?
I think they're going to slowly transition him into kind of the at least one of these safeties, in my opinion, are going to be gone after this year. It'll be either Logan Ryan or Jabril Peppers. And I think he's going to basically play both of their roles. And then at the same time, he'll probably play some slot corner. He'll probably play, because a lot of times you saw Jabril Peppers kind of in like the nickel linebacker spot, like as the coverage linebacker. And then you saw Logan Ryan kind of in like a strong safety kind of mold. And then Julian Love would be like 15 yards back, like making sure that nothing went over the top. Xavier McKinney will probably do a lot of that. And maybe Julian Love is like our fourth cornerback or something like that. So I think that Xavier McKinney will play everywhere. All of those safeties are going to play everywhere. I mean, I just can't. I can't even predict. But if I would say like where he will play the most, I would probably say that deep free safety role. A lot of people don't think he can do it, but if you watch him in college, at least he could do it. But he'll play everywhere.
And he's going to get taught. This coaching staff is about teachers. They're going to be able to relay the message, teach them, and, you know, mold them into what they need them to be. Julian Love's no exception. McKinney's no exception to that. The offensive line's no exception to that. Daniel Jones. You know, people love Joe Judge. You know, he's a leader. He's this, he's that. But then when they talk about the Giants players, oh, there's going to be no development. They're going to suck this, and that. It's like, isn't part of coaching, you know, making players good, like, you know, developing your players. You know, it's not just about rah. Like, that's not what, you know, coaching is really about. It's more than that. Yeah,
I don't get it. I mean, I think some Giants fans just like they just have PTSD and they're not really thinking about they can't really see what the team looks like. They're just thinking of like some 2015 roster, 2014 roster.
I just don't get the fans that root against it. Like, you hate Gettleman so much that you literally are. I have active bets right now with Giants fans for their failure, for Daniel Jones's failure, for this and for that. Like, I'm not even a big betting guy. Like, I never placed a bet online once in my life. Like, you know, I'm not. But these people are just like so over the top, so nonsensical, and I just don't get it. Like, how do you hate a guy that right now built what you have your toy that you have? You fucking were driving around in a fucking beat up Honda Civic from fucking 2003. And the roster now looks like it's a fucking 2021 Corvette. Like, enjoy that shit. Just got 700 horsepower. Like, have fun. Be grateful. Stop fucking hating on him, wishing the fucking guy, you know, does whatever. I don't want to say the words, but
yeah. If we get from you real quick, because we kind of like doing this towards the end of the show, but we want, first of all, you're a Giants fan, so we'll ask what you think our record will be, right? And you can kind of go there. But the next two things I want is, One bold prediction that's just a little outrageous, but you kind of can stand behind it. And then one other prediction that's not often talked about on the mainstream, but like you really feel that this is going to happen is something you're kind of like you could see really happening. So one crazy one and one that's like sort of out of the ordinary that you kind of feel like is going to make a push. So guys, record first. Where do you see the Giants?
All right. Record wise, I think my official prediction video, like when I went through it like the first day, I predicted us to win like 13 games.
Okay.
So
Yeah,
I
that's what I
always
said.
like,
Mike's
I
like,
always do
yeah.
my first.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I always do that first prediction, and then I like take a couple of games off. So I'll say we'll go. What is it? 11-6.
All right, 11-6. All right. Now we always make fun of Mike because when you said 13 wins, man, he was jumping off the screen right now. He's like, "Oh hell yeah!" I said we're gonna win 14 games. He loves doing that crazy shit, right? And so give us a bold Mike Trainer prediction for the Giants this year. Over the top, outrageous.
Oh man. I don't know if this is like a bold over the top kind of thing, but I put it in my video of me. Actually, I did a bold predictions video, I think yesterday. I said that Sterling Shepard will get 1,000 yards this year.
All right. You want to put some catches with that?
How many catches for him to get 1,000 yards? I guess he would probably need
70.
let's see. Yeah, 70. He would be in the 70s, maybe 76 catches.
76 catches. All right. So
Because like if you
1,000.
look at him the last 2 years, if he played the whole season, he's at 1,000 yards.
Yeah. You just got to stay healthy. You got to play. You got to play 16.
Yeah.
And I was gonna say like so that I feel almost like the Shep one was kind of like that in between mid sort of prediction.
Yeah, that might be like
okay.
okay.
See that. So a bold one. How about this? What do you think Daniel Jones' top ceiling numbers could be for 2020?
Oh yeah.
There we go. That way you
Okay.
get crazy.
So you're adding on an extra game.
True.
Let's say 42 touchdowns.
Woo! Total or is that just
42.
passing?
42
Man, has
touchdowns.
entered the building.
If he goes 42 touchdowns, I'll say 12 interceptions.
Damn.
Um,
I like this.
500. No, let's go more than that. 650 yards rushing.
Damn.
Yeah, I like it.
You're talking an MVP season right now. I love it.
And give me 5 rushing touchdowns.
On top of it. So he's getting 47 total.
Yep.
That's what I'm hearing. All right.
Bro, could you fucking imagine if he came
Oh,
close to that?
I'm gonna be unbearable if that happens.
Oh my god, bro.
Hey,
I am-
passing
I'm gonna
yards.
get-
How many passing yards we got with
Passing
this?
yards.
it
Let's
42?
say I'll say 4,200.
42. I was ready to I'm hearing 52. Now I'm kidding.
I mean, if he's gonna have give me 4,400 because of the extra game.
You got it. All right,
I can see
4,400 passing. That's all your bold. See, we got the bold prediction out of you. Daniel Jones is more than an actual average quarterback. All right, so enough of that chatter. That needs to stop. All right.
Dude, I can't wait to see the national media, these assholes like Matt Lombardo and Pat Leonard and Jordan Renan that have to now sit there
Oh,
and
man.
suffer through, agonize through writing pro Daniel Jones fucking articles and I was wrong and I don't know this and I guess Gettleman knew better. I'm gonna fucking frame those motherfuckers from my office behind me. It's gonna be all right behind me, right there.
Hey, I'm glad John just said that because literally on one of our previous episodes, I mentioned it, and I don't know how intel they got with it, but literally just to kind of sum it up, if there's ever a player that could actually represent a team and what a team needs to stand for, it's Daniel Jones this year. And what I mean by that is majority of everybody is just saying the Giants are going to be whack. We're going to win 6 games, 7 games best, right? And it's like everybody's just sort of sleeping on this team like they're sleeping on Daniel Jones, who happens to be one of the key pieces to make this shit happen and go. That's it. Daniel Jones is literally the whole face of this year, in my opinion, where you could literally turn around and say, if he does well and he puts up anything close to those numbers, shit, I'll take fucking 32, right?
Oh, yeah.
42, you know what I'm saying? And give me fucking 3 or 4 rushing TDs with 500 yards and even 15 turnovers and 4,000 yards passing. And this team is going to make some fucking noise. They're going to surprise some people. So, like, yeah, it's just great. And I think that if you're on board for this season, you have to be on board with Daniel Jones because him and Jason Garrett and that old line is literally the key that opens up that garage that gets out that Corvette and gets it going on the road.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I just can't see how this offense isn't like explosive. There's
Right.
just way too many places for it to come from. And if Saquon Barkley is, let's knock on wood and say that he's Saquon Barkley. If he is, then I mean,
It's a wrap.
what can you do?
It's a fucking wrap.
If DJ throws the ball 12 times a game in this offense, like that's a playoff team.
Couldn't agree with you more.
Oh God,
Listen, I think
wait.
we're gonna wrap
fucking
up this
can't wait until
episode.
fucking September.
Diggy, I appreciate you coming on. Why don't you tell some of our listeners where we can find you?
All right, you can find me at Digge546, Digge546. That is on YouTube, Twitter, Instagram. I'm not on Instagram too much, but you can follow me there. I think that's pretty much all the platforms I'm on right now. I've been thinking about kind of going into a podcast thing, maybe this off season, to add that to the channel. But for now, I'm just doing videos pretty much daily. And I do a live stream every Sunday to talk Giants football. This weekend, we're probably gonna do some stat predictions.
Nice.
I guess I did a couple of them today, but yeah, probably knock some of those out this weekend.
No doubt, man. Listen, and when you get the podcast going, let us know, man. We'll jump on.
Oh,
with
yeah.
you, but definitely.
Definitely.
For sure. And hopefully we can get you to come on, maybe right during like preseason and everything again, and get some more insight into everything. But we do thank you for coming on. As for us, you know where to catch us. You can catch us at Twitter at BBOMYG. If you want to come at us individually, you know you got Mike Trainer MFT. You got at NYG Slap Parade, and of course at Jules NYC1. That's another episode of the Big Blue Offensive Podcast. We are out. Talk to you later. See you next week.